like the so I think it's probably
Good, sir. How are you doing?
Good. Yourself, Charles. Come on.
I have an event or a meeting every day this week. But now I had elections commission. You know, my office was staff. We used to give elections commission. They staff us, and we just went through purchasing a new system. The controversy there was second to nothing in the county. The tinfoil hat brigade came out in full force, like they're trying to hide information. You know, oh my God, you know, the Russians are going to. It's not. They can hack the system. If you'll explain to me how you hack an air gap, it's not connected to any internet. How you hack it? Okay. If you get close enough, what?
I got my mail.
So we just got now we're starting the implementation of that and doing receiving them starting next week. Building the forensic center, for which you're holding on to some more.
Which I may, switch gears on you.
Well, we're still supposed to get together, so.
Really? No, I did not. Fantastic. That is good.
I know there's been a good relationship here.
Yeah.
Great.
We put the money over there, and
I could probably get you double return.
I didn't recognize.
that's actually funny.
Look how pretty this is. Oh.
Real heavy construction industry, and right off they sold we're about $1.5 million from yesterday. So you can get $1.5 million on that money in the next couple of weeks.
You know, I don't know if I could do that because you know what?
Okay.
I might have to go 3 months out. How busy you are. I'll work on it though.
And now it's official.
Now it's official. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Northampton County GPA Authority meeting for Tuesday, June 4th, 2019. Mark, could you please take roll?
Mr. Anthony?
Here.
Mr. Derdinger?
Here.
Mr. Pintabone? Here. Mr. Kraft? Excused. Ms. Vargo Hefner?
Here.
Mr. Donchez?
Here.
Ms. Baum? Excused.
Okay.
Solicitor Freund? Here. And staff, Tina Smith, Mark Hartney, and Sarah Ortiz.
In your meeting packet, there are meeting minutes from last meeting. Everybody had a chance to review those. I need a motion to approve, please. Thank you, Frank. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ron. Any questions on that motion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Public comment. So I can't read the last name. Michelle? Sorry, I apologize.
You can
Zoka.
say it into the mic when you come on.
My name is Michelle Zoka.
Thank you.
Rhymes with polka. I'm here with some of my Lower Mount Bethel friends, and I'm wondering, we came up with a list of questions. We were here a year ago about the bridges on Little Creek Road, and the first question that I have is, what is the update on the Little Creek Road bridges?
I think we could do this relatively easy. There is no update. There has been no update. Very sadly, negotiations have been ongoing. I have told Ms. Newman where we were. The contractor has not come to terms with us on this, so the bridges that the GPA is seeking to have removed is today going to be voted on as a resolution for a change order, and we will continue negotiating from that point. But as of today, there is no update.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. So if you're going to vote on it today, so if it's a change order, then what does that mean?
It means that we're issuing a change order, and we still have to continue negotiating, but it's to be more consistent with what the contract says.
So that doesn't mean that they're going to be pulled from the P3 project?
It is the intention, and has been the intention, to remove those bridges from the P3 contract as a deletion.
So just to be clear, because I still don't understand, is that what you're voting on? You're just voting on a change order, but that does not include pulling them, correct?
That is a much more complex, as has been discussed and has been explained at every meeting we've discussed the Little Creek bridges, even the previous GPA members. The contract is onerous in how this is done, and we are working diligently to make that happen. But in the absence of partnership with the contractor, we have not arrived at a price yet.
So then, I'm going to jump to my question. So is there still a stop work order for those 3 bridges that was discussed last year? I mean, no more design or anything for those 3 bridges is happening, or is that not the case?
Those bridges were designed. They are 80% designed from the point in which we told them to stop working on them. They have not gone any further than the...
Since last year?
From the last year, yes.
Okay, so that was August 7th that it was determined to stop work.
Yeah.
So no more work has been done on those bridges, design-wise? Because we don't want to waste your money. That's what the whole purpose was.
We don't want to waste our or the county's money
Right.
either. So nothing, when I say nothing has changed, I mean, if you remember where we were on August 7th, we are exactly there, other than there's been a lot more conversations between us and the contractor.
Okay, then I have one more quick question, I hope. I know that the Raisley Hill Bridge is slated to begin soon, and we're wondering, what is the truck and vehicle access to that work that's going to be done? Is it going to be coming from Lower Little Creek or Upper Little Creek?
None of that has been discussed with us, nor is that something that we have any control over.
You don't have control over it? I don't
No.
understand. Why not? Because if there's...
It's a public road. It's a public contract, and there was nothing in the bid specs that told them which direction they would be coming in. So as a public road, they have full and free access to the road.
Even with weight limits and trees and electrical
The
wires?
weight limits have been waived by and large, the Department of Transportation. PennDOT has not, does not uphold the weight restrictions, and that's unfortunately for us, but that is an element that they have to deal with. This is not something that we as the GPA have any control over. This has been explained ad nauseum by the previous GPA as well as us. We have no control over the means and methods by which they do the bridge construction.
By which Krieger does the bridge construction?
Yes, they being Krieger.
Right, correct. You have no control. Thank you.
Jeanette Leggett, please. Good morning.
Good to see you all.
So then I'm going to immediately jump to bridge number 41, staying on the whole bridge topic. My question is, why is Bridge 41 still in the P3 program since it was determined that it is not structurally deficient?
All right. Go ahead, Charles.
For the exact same reasons we have discussed many, many times, both publicly and privately.
And you don't mind repeating them for people that are new?
There is no one here new, but it is a steel encased concrete beam bridge, and has been found, as we have said numerous times, it's not a bridge that the county would have probably sought to have replaced, but it is part of the project now, and is not, although your engineer has his opinions, our third-party engineer, the independent engineer, has his opinions, and we're going with his since it is part of the project and it is part of the contract.
Right, so we're on the same page. If you could pick and choose now, you would not have chosen that bridge. The problem is it's already in the bucket that Krieger has.
That the previous
a right.
administration and the GPA had put together, yes.
Okay, and again, I'm looking at this like, if someone were to say, gosh, your doctor said you needed this surgery, we now see you don't need this surgery, we're still doing the surgery.
Perfect example, and I'm happy that you made that example.
Okay.
Because if your doctor then said you don't need the surgery, but then you died subsequent to the doctor saying you don't need the surgery, you would sue that doctor for everything he was worth, and then some. We are in the same situation here, in as much as if we take the bridge out, and because the bridge is on the cusp of being bad, when it does go, everyone on Little Creek would have reason to have a issue with us, if not sue the GPA for having not replaced the bridge when it was previously expected to be done, as that bridge has the potential for a failure because of the type of bridge and the length of the span, which we've explained.
I hear that. So again, that still obviously doesn't satisfy me as a taxpayer. I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying, as a taxpayer, I feel there's so much money that needs to be put into bridges that we know are a problem.
But as a taxpayer, no, actually, as a taxpayer, the point of this bridge is we have an opportunity to fix it at a much less expense now than we would in the future, and all you need to do is ask the people of Lower Saucon, who are now 2 years without a bridge, because we are trying to get it into a situation where it can be done.
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
You would have in that particular area the potential of probably a greater period of time than 4 years should that bridge fail or be shut.
I hear what you're
So,
saying. And as a taxpayer, I will tell you what I've said at meetings before. That bridge is right in front of my house, and I have no interest in having a bridge in front of my house that is not sound and safe, as it affects my property value and the whole road. So again, I understand the need to replace a bridge that needs to be replaced. I'm just going on the record as saying, as a taxpayer, I think those dollars could be spent way better. And again, I would be thrilled to help out anybody if they can show me that that bridge needs to be replaced. And we'll just leave it that we differ on that. Again, I'm going to follow through then. It sounds like we're still on the same page. So my thought is, I'm thinking that maybe Bridge 41 is still in that project because that is where Krieger is going to get their most bang for their buck from us. That's just my concerns and my thought. It's the most expensive bridge. It's the easiest one to give them that one, pull the other ones out. That's my opinion. Number 5, what environmental changes are planned? We're all very, very concerned that if this does go forward as it is, that our landscape of our road, that is a scenic byway, and protected as that, and the animals and the trees and everything will be affected beyond repair. So what we want to know is if this is going to be sort of pushed upon us on our road, maybe you probably don't have this information yet, but we want to know when we're going to find out what is happening environmentally in my yard, on our road, affecting the wildlife and that protected stream. So when would we get that information if these bridges do, in fact, get replaced?
What year is that?
That's not a item or a part of the contract. Unfortunately for me, I have
Okay.
now
Who
digested.
would I ask?
And you have a copy of the contract, as I am aware.
Okay. But
So
then who
you
could
know
I
that
ask
it's not
about?
part of the contract.
Okay.
They have to do all of their work consistent with DEP guidelines and regulations, and they have done so thus far on their other bridges, so.
Actually, I think that's one of our concerns. On one of the other bridges, all the water was changed in color. So we're not confident that when they are actually working on a bridge, they are properly caring for the environment. So again, I guess I would say to you, if you don't have that answer, I understand that. Who can I ask? Who can I get a heads up on what's happening on our road before it happens, so we can prepare our properties?
Wouldn't they need to work with?
You know, who would I talk to?
state authorities who?
Yeah, I suspect at that point you would reach out to the DEP.
Right.
And they communicate with Krieger to know
They
what's
provide the
gonna happen?
permits for Krieger to do the in-stream work, which
That's
is
what
why
you
there's certain
suggested,
bridges
yeah.
can't be done until certain periods, because they provide in-stream restrictions so that the habitat is not affected adversely.
Great, okay. And then the gentlemen that came out that were doing the surveying were cleared, I think they took pictures, and they clarified that when they were done, the yards, the property that they leave will look as it does now. Again, were those employees of Krieger's, I think they were?
Yeah.
And so, so it would be wise for us to take pictures of our yards and somehow.
Oh, most certainly.
Make sure I have a
I would
80-year-old
recommend.
tree back in my yard.
I would
I'm not
recommend
gonna do
video.
that.
I would go beyond just simply pictures, but I would take video if I were you.
And then if it's not like we found it, if it's not replaced like we found it, who do we go to?
Krieger, they're the contractor who
Yeah,
would
we
have
to
done the
go
damage,
sue
and you would
Krieger. We have to
sue
take them
Krieger.
on.
Yep,
As an individual resident, I have to take on Krieger.
yes.
Thank you.
David Leggett, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just, I'll try to make it brief. Picking up on your argument about the liability concerns of not replacing Bridge 41, how does that differ from the liability concerns replacing with the other 7 bridges that you're pulling out of the project?
The other 7 bridges are not of similar type. Bridge 132, for that matter, is a stone arch bridge. We're pulling that out because it's simply not used, and there is a nearby bridge next to it. That bridge could fall into the creek where it is presently and will not affect transportation for almost anyone. Its average daily traffic is significantly less than any of the other bridges. So as an example, Bridge 132 is just a pointless bridge. It's a very nice walking bridge, and I almost challenge people to find it, because with GPS and the GIS department here at the county directing me to it, I almost didn't find it because it looks like it's on a private road. So that's one of the bridges. 3 of the bridges that actually I have them here, so I don't have to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the bridges, well, 1 is masonry, so we won't count that, are concrete arch bridges, and much like, as you folks made an excellent point about Bridge 43 being a concrete arch bridge, that'll probably only be sufficient for the next 60 or so years. So there is the difference. They're not, all the bridges that are staying in the contract, by and large, are concrete encased steel I-beam bridges. They were never treated in the beginning because we didn't treat concrete in the 1940s and so on. I'm sorry, we didn't treat steel in the 1940s and so on back then. So there is greater concern for those bridges to fail because they are generally very old bridges, and they are concrete encased I-beams.
Even though, at least with 43 and 44, they were rated less sufficient than 41.
They were not rated sufficient in as much as their structural circumstance, but the fact that they are, 41 is a 2-lane bridge. We have had this conversation, and I appreciate having it again, but it is, in fact, a 2-lane bridge, and the only reason the other ones scored less is because they are single-lane bridges, something for which the folks on Little Creek Road, yourself included, wanted to keep as single-lane bridges.
That's correct.
We don't have the ability to do that if we were to replace them. We have to replace them with PennDOT approved based on the contract verbiage. And we do not have any say in the engineering breakouts of these bridges, as we've discussed as well. Bridge 41 is a 2-lane bridge that is a concrete encased I-beam bridge and is not structurally sufficient. The other bridges are concrete arch bridges, are structurally sufficient, but are not, what's the word? Functionally obsolete, thank you, because they are single-lane bridges. Most of the bridges are rated badly on Little Creek Road because they are not in line with anything and they create blind spots. As Bridge 43 is a perfect example, the bridge brings you down and then you make a turn, not optimal, but not something that was going to be changed
But
if
your
we replace
your
it anyway.
liability argument, if somebody has a head-on collision on the
We have
one-lane road,
changed nothing, and we did not cause any problem.
but you could have replaced it, which was your argument with
No,
the
that's
failure
not
of
what, that was,
41.
you're conflating my argument, but it's a good attempt. My argument was if the bridge fails, the bridge is there. We did not create the bridge, nor did we create the hardship or problem. If the bridge fails, everyone who lives on the, I guess that would be north side of Little Creek, will, for at least 3 or 4 years, be traveling 7 miles to get their mail. Will be traveling 7 miles every time they want to leave their home, unless they're going to Bangor. Because, as you know, there is no bypass from that road. That doesn't bring you down South Main or something similar going north.
Okay, thank you.
Sandra Newman, please. Good morning.
I was really encouraged yesterday when I looked on the county website and I pulled the minutes and the agenda and the resolution to remove resolution 2019-10. I guess it's a change proposal, is that
Yes.
my understanding? And this is just coming from the GPA, going to Krieger.
Mhm.
Does this have to go through county council?
No.
No, it doesn't. It will go
The
direct.
county no longer owns any of these bridges. GPA owns the bridges.
Okay,
The county had approved this project and approved the sale of the bridges to the GPA for their repair.
okay, so nothing going forward needs to be voted on by county council? Removal, swapping, changing?
I'm
change
sure
orders?
there are elements for which county council will want to weigh in, specifically that they do pay the bill on this overall, and I don't know, and I have not seen what county council is going to want to do there.
Okay.
They are the governing body, they get to.
Okay. That would be something that will be determined as the project
Yeah.
proceeds. Okay. In your estimation, what kind of weight does this resolution hold?
It is in line with the contract, and despite where we had been with this, we will be following the contract directly, word for word, so that these changes will take place.
They will.
Yes. It is our right in the contract to delete these bridges, and the GPA will be exercising their right should we vote on this in the affirmative.
Okay. Which I encourage you to do.
Thank you.
Another question, and I don't mean to be redundant here. It may have been addressed previously. Can you or can you not swap bridges?
We can swap bridges. It has proven, as the simple negotiations for deleting bridges have been difficult, swapping bridges, I imagine, is going to be significantly worse.
Oh.
We had conversations about 2 bridges at one time, and as you would expect with any person you have a contract with, the value of what they're deleting seemingly is so much less than the value of what you're adding. So there's not a direct swap there.
Have the discussions with Krieger about the financial reimbursements or crediting, has that gotten any easier over time? No. Okay. Something that concerns me as a supervisor in my township is the issue with the routes in and the routes out. Now, I understand that that's not written down any place, but I would hope that Krieger would be amenable to sharing that information with the township and how to
They
mark
generally-
things. These are not county roads. These are local roads.
First and foremost, there are no county roads, which is a good thing for the county. There are only state and local roads.
Right.
Irrespective if they're state or local roads, they're still public roads or public access roads, for which, you know, as a supervisor, you cannot restrict traffic any longer because of what
Because of the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to that extent, I understand that in most of these cases, and Mr. Kuklinski from Benish will be up later, and I'll certainly ask him this question at that time, but in most cases, they have issued a set of plans to indicate what their
route is.
Their routes would be.
Okay. And one final question. Probably a month and a half ago, I believe you all received a letter from our township engineer, Justin Coyle from Carroll Engineering, requesting you give serious consideration to keeping Bridge 195 a single-lane bridge. Now, it's my understanding that PennDOT regulations don't prohibit that you can repair or replace a single-lane bridge with a single-lane bridge. You don't have to make it a two-lane bridge. So I would again refer you to that letter and tell you that at my board meeting last night, I was encouraged to keep up that fight. I mean, we would really like that to stay a single-lane bridge. So I'm on the record for letting you know that. And thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other public comment, treasurer's report, please. Ron, you got to walk us through that?
Yep. Good morning.
Good morning.
The report as of May 31st, 2019, you have in front of you. You can see on the general purpose authority balance sheet, we have total cash and cash equivalents of $1,455,000 and change. Some receivables outstanding, so our total assets are $1,892,561.94. Liabilities on the bottom there, you see the $350,000, and then if you go, you could see that our total liabilities and fund balance match the $182,561.94. The net gain, and we'll go this in a second, for the year to date, we do show a profit of $262,510.69, and it kind of forwarded from a balance sheet perspective. It's kind of straightforward now, and it's kind of easy to read. So, you go to page 2, you'll see this is our year-to-date income statement, and if you go to the third column, the actual is what we show as our revenue through May 31st, and you'll see total revenues are $287,641.67, and then if you kind of follow that all the way through to the next page there, you'll see total liabilities or expenditures we've had through the period is $25,130.98, and that gives us the net revenue, which was on the balance sheet there, to $262,510.69. And again, this will show a comparison, the original budget there on columns 1 and then the budget perspective. And as the year goes on, we'll be able to show how we are performing versus the budget on the income statement. And then the last page is just our capital projects income statement, and that just shows year-to-date revenues of projects of $191,287.55 and the offsetting expenditures of the same amount.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
The special legal services, is that referring to the Watts Teeter billing? Under,
The $3,750.
What page are you
Yeah.
That's
referring
page
to?
2.
page 2 under
Mark.
special legal services?
That would be all legal services.
Right, that's-
When we,
Did you not think that? Did you not think that John was special?
I thought he was our,
No,
our tried and true compadre in this.
See?
I did not think you were
I'm sticking up
special.
for
I
you, John.
apologize.
that label comes from the county's system of accounts. And so they didn't just have one for solicitor.
So your
It's
fees are
all
there.
special legal services.
I stand corrected on your specialness. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
So then your fees and the other fees will all be encompassed in that category going forward?
Correct.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. Any other questions?
So move to
Thank you,
approve.
Ron.
Sure thing.
Even I can understand that, Ron. Thank you. I appreciate that.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. That's nice. Thank you. Thanks for the hard work. Yes, I
Motion
do need
to
a motion,
approve?
please. Thank you, Lori. Second. Thank you, Frank. All those, any questions on that motion?
Do I need to say motion to approve or motion to file for audit? Is there a distinction?
No, just approve.
Just approve.
Motion to approve.
Subject to audit.
The motion on the table is to approve the treasurer's report. Frank, you second that? Yes, sir. Any questions on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the Benish Supplemental Services invoice. And this was presented last meeting to us, and we've had a week now or a month to review it, I guess. Any questions on that? I looked through it, Greg. Very thorough. Thank you. Very detailed. I appreciate that. Everything's broken out, the reasons for it. Anybody have any questions on that?
I guess I have a question going forward, not with this, because I appreciate the fact that there's been extra work that's unforeseen that needs to be credited. But how do we work together to keep this from continuing to happen? Is there a way to amend the budget going forward, or are we just going to have to continue getting extra bills for extra work?
I think because a lot of the elements that we're facing in this were not foreseen in the contract, there's really going to be no way to not have these additional costs. Benish has, it's been necessary, even in the negotiations as we're talking about here, and the resolutions that we're going to be taking up, these were not elements that were considered as a budget or even any allowances for in the, financial allowances for in the contract. So I think these will come up as needed. I think the sheer volume of the cost here is because we are looking at all of last year's as well as almost half of this year now. So there's been a lot more expended at one time than we would have otherwise seen.
Hey, Laura, your question is kind of like, how do we anticipate costs going forward? Is that
Well, I guess along with the gift that keeps on giving, it's just another way to view that this was never highlighted or detailed in the original contract. And so, like, again, they should be compensated for the work that they did, but is there any way to, you don't renegotiate a contract with Benish, it's all encompassed in the one. There's no separate.
I think it's in our best interest to keep them on an hourly so that we're not, if we were to just say now, okay, here's a bucket of money, we're going to renegotiate this, and we're going to take into allowance all of these possibilities in the future, they're going to find a way to spend them. But if we're following up with them on their circumstances, not Greg. Greg is fantastic. It's the guy in billing that I worry
But he
about.
smiled when you said he's going to find a way to pay.
Yeah, no, he is going to find a way to spend that money.
Okay, I'm just questioning because.
Yeah, I understand.
No,
the
it's
concern.
a significant amount of money, and unfortunately for this project, clearly as an example, Bridge 15 the changes that took place there, that required Benish to get involved and do a number of things that they wouldn't have to do. In the debacle that is Bridge 124, that bridge has been stolen in the middle of the night. It was given to FedEx. Allen Township had planted a flag on it for a little bit of time. Then there was significant back and forths, and really and truly only through the help of Greg Kuklitzy and Benish getting this kind of squared away do we have a resolution to that problem. And even to that extent, in addressing the deletions and changes that are here, it's been important, and it's actually in some cases saved us money on what the contract would have otherwise cost us. So,
one thing I'd like to point out, we are going to have to move money in the approved GPA budget into the professional services line item. If you look at this bill, the GPA responsibilities are about $46,000. I think we have about $20,000 left in our professional services budget, so we will be moving money to cover that, and then the remainder of that bill will be paid for by the county, and that's about $48,000.
All right. I do have a question or a concern on number 8. It talks about additional site visits for a final walkthrough, and there's a note in there. Typically, 2 visits are considered standard, and Benish had to have additional visits that actually accounts for $1,680. My concern there is if Krieger wasn't done for the final visit and Benish has to go back out there and re-inspect or re-review, obviously Benish should be paid for their work, but why should the GPA or the county be having to take on that added cost? That should be thrown back on Krieger for not being ready.
yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that. It's like, if they're not ready for final inspection, they call for final inspection, and of course Benish does the work, they should be paid for it, but why should we or the county take that cost on? That should be just...
I think that's potentially reasonable and something that we need to...
We could look into that, Mr. Anthony. That's what we can do in the contract.
Okay. Address it in the contract?
See what how the contract
You mean
addresses
going
it. So we
forward?
Yes.
All right. Going forward, we will look into the contract. Look into the details. All right. Any other questions on this? On the Benish charges? Again, Greg, thank you for the work. Outstanding. Deeply appreciate that. So. All right, motion to pay Benish invoice.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you,
Second.
Ron. Thank you, Charles. Any questions on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Invoices for payment, 4.3.
In your packet is a list of invoices for payment. We did include the Alfred Benish invoices in the overall packet, just so you're not approving that twice.
Right.
But we have $4,969 in King Spry legal fees, $5,667.99 in Riley and Company. That's basically the end of the audit. And then your first quarter administrative fee, or is it second quarter? I'm sorry. Yeah, that should say second quarter to DCED. And for a total of invoices of $120,351.75.
And following that is all the paperwork substantiating all those costs.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Frank. Frank made. Motion to approve, please.
Motion.
Thank you, Frank. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Lori. Any questions on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And then the next item is 4.4, which is invoices paid to date. This is just informational only. Anybody have any questions on that? All right, bridge update.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Greg.
So you should all have a status update as well as a spreadsheet of all the bridges. I broke out the status update this month just to show the things that I'm talking about. Things that have changed since last time I was here, not an inclusive list of everything. So you'll see the list is a little shorter than previous. And I also made the spreadsheet a little bigger so it could everybody could see it better as well too.
That's right. Thank you.
Regarding the permits from DEP, we have received Bridge 119. Charles just got it a few days ago. There are 4 DEP permits, 76, 138, 188, and 224 that are still outstanding and have been outstanding for over a month in some cases. GPI has been putting pressure on DEP, and I've contacted them as well to try and get them moved along. They've been understaffed, is what we've been hearing, and they're working on them as quick as they can. But I just want to let all of you know there are 4 that are outstanding right now. Regarding final construction plans, we received bridges 119, 138, 207, 215, and 224 in the last few days. Many of them before were approved as noted. It's just ready for our signature for a final sign off. We'll be looking at those the next few days this week. Regarding utilities, we've had some movement on some of the utilities. PPL has completed relocating poles on 63 and 184, and they've also completed at Bridge 224. The one that's outstanding is Bridge 66, and that one, the bridge is open already. There's a pole and a guy wire in the borough of Stockertown's parking lot. So I called them yesterday and told them this is high urgency, that they need to get this one removed, because that's holding up Krieger going to do the paving of the parking lot. So of all the ones, that's the one I hope that they can get resolved as soon as possible, because that's part of some of the punch list items that we have, and one of them is to replace that guy wire. Verizon has given clearance. We gave Verizon clearance to start the relocations at 76, 188, and 207. They have completed work at 76, placed a temporary pole at 207, and they're still working on 188. I found out yesterday they have had a change in leadership. Their main contact is either he's left Verizon or not doing the job anymore, so I got to contact a new contact to see what's happening there. There's no update on PA American Water. I just left that in because that was one of the utilities here. Regarding Med Ed, we've notified them, bridges 189, 191. They let us know yesterday they're waiting for the ground to stabilize a little bit. They don't want to go in there and rip up the yards due to the wet conditions. So these are basically just temporary poles in yards is what they are. There's no wires attached to them. All the wires have been relocated. They're just waiting for a good time to remove those. And we have given them clearance to start at bridges 54, 138, and we're still working with them to get those utilities relocated. Frontier has completed their relocations. 189, 191, that's bridges that are open, and Bridge 215. So they are complete for now. Regarding milestone payments, I'm sure we'll talk about more of this later. Payment number 6 was due last Friday. I submitted a letter to the GPA just giving an overall status to show how many bridges have been completed, how many designs have been completed to see if they match the milestones. And then John sent a letter to requesting that we have a meeting to discuss these items because they did not meet their milestones per the contract. So John, I don't know if you want to say anything more about that.
Well, only that as Charles mentioned earlier, I think that we need to refocus ourselves on the urgency of the contract
Regarding construction, there no updates. Bridge 143 is still waiting for the stream restriction to be lifted, and Bridge 63 they've been waiting for the water levels to go down. So we have no.
I didn't send this to you. I did send it to Mike Amelie last night. I was there at 8 o'clock. Happened to be passing by, took a few pictures. Water's down. So.
Which bridge are you talking
That's
about?
Bridge 63 along Bushkill Drive in Tatamy, Forks, and Palmer.
Regarding the punch list items, the only change was there was a meeting at 189 and 191 with the Township Public Works Director to talk about the paving limits, about paving that has to be completed through there. Upcoming schedule, nothing's changed.
I'm sorry, on the paving though, are we anywhere with 66 and the ponding?
They haven't corrected anything in 66 yet. Last time I was out there. Regarding schedule, same as before, 143, 63, 184, the only 3 scheduled for this year. And
I'm sorry, I don't know if everyone else caught that.
Yeah.
There were 11 bridges scheduled for this year, and you're saying that there's only now 3 scheduled for this year?
That's what they've told us, correct.
Can you elaborate on that? Or
yeah, that's just what they told us.
A letter went out, 184 and 63 are bridges that they had the precast already done for last year. They were last year's bridges. And I guess that leaves a question as to how we get to the payment 6 milestone, which requires them to finish 4 bridges if they're only scheduling 3. I'm pretty good at math.
I'm sure there's something in the contract on that, Charles.
Okay.
And then regarding the credit letter that we talked about at the last meeting, a meeting was held on May 24th, and that's where it was noted that we would provide, that I'd put together change orders that we're going to talk about after this. The last thing I want to bring up, since Sandra brought it up, in final design, GPI puts together MPT plans, and that's basically the detour route that we do for any bridge. If they use state roads, they have to contact PennDOT just to see if there's any construction in the vicinities or on any of those roads, just so there's no conflicting signs. They don't have a detour that's using the same detour. And we've also been doing that with the townships as well too, because there have been, we know on some of them the townships have been working on bridges as well, and there could be conflicting signs. So that's something that's brought up at the pre-con meeting as well too. And at the pre-con meeting, the townships are invited to come to them to state if there's any concerns. And GPI usually gives them a set of detour plans beforehand. So that's how we've been dealing with it. It's worked out well so far on all the bridges we've had. There's been some concerns in one of the townships in particular that had a bridge that was under construction that we had to meet with them and go to one of their meetings to discuss the project. But we've had pretty good coordination with the townships. That's all I have in my report. Any questions?
well, I do have questions. The first question I have is back to the last question I asked you is, and again, if you can't answer, just say you can't.
Yeah.
Is there any real reason why we are only planning 3 bridges when there's supposed to be 4? Or why is it an impasse in the contract? Is it, I mean, from your perspective, is there anything that you could say as to why the contract's not being adhered to on the other end?
Well, I can tell you the reasons that we've been given, that we've been formally given via letters or email. It's waiting for DEP, that there's stream restrictions, or there's utilities still in place.
But that means that's why they're not getting done, but why they're not being like I can understand if the streams are too high or you're waiting, but why aren't they on the docket to be completed?
Yeah, well, some of them with the it's mostly the utilities is what we've been hearing, that they're waiting for the utilities to get relocated until they come in the field.
And this winds up being a chicken and the egg situation. If the contractor is not out on the site, the utilities generally don't see that it needs to be done, so they don't come out. On last year's bridges, we ran into several back and forths over where equipment was sited or even where things were sited. The responsibility for utility relocations and coordination is with Krieger. And although the county and Banish have really been very forthcoming and have put up a huge effort. The county executive has had directors of the different utilities to his office to discuss what could be done and try to make every effort to move these forward. It's in many cases just a matter of getting started and getting things moving to get the utilities to show up.
I think that's my question, because I realized last year the county itself did a lot because that was the unidentified issue, and so between yourself and county staff, a lot was done on getting easements, on getting the utilities. So now that all that legwork is done, why is it not being pushed forward on the other end? I guess that's my question. If you don't have an answer, I get it, but I just needed to state the question. I wanted to go back to something that I believe it was Mrs. Leggett that asked, and that, again, you may not have specifics about her property, but what do you do in cases, or how are cases of environment or some of those landscape, natural landscape issues generally handled in a bridge project?
Yeah, like Charles said, I mean, DEP is responsible for giving the permit. They have to issue the permit, so you're not going to do anything that's violating any laws or any E&S controls. I mean, when GPI applies for the permit, they're following normal procedures that we would do for any bridge project. That's the first thing. I mean, the second thing is when you look at, there's certain times, like say there's a tree right adjacent to a bridge that, I mean, obviously they have to go if they're in the excavated area. I mean, there's nothing you can do. You can't save a tree that's going to be in the excavation. But there are things that you can do. Is you can plant additional trees if you think one's needed, or move bushes around. I mean, there's things that can be done. But the idea is that the property looks identical, or very close to identical what it was when you started. Basically, clean it up so everything looks nice.
So the grass is put back the way it's supposed to.
Correct.
And do they generally come out and speak with the homeowner? Because, again, forgive my indulgences, you guys live and breathe bridges, but I don't. So do they come out and speak to the homeowners themselves, or they just come through? How do they communicate that to?
Yeah, if there's concerns, they would talk to the homeowners about it.
And what was the other question? I think, I just wanted to make sure, because I think when people were coming up at public comment, they seemed to be questions that would be better answered by you than by us, because they're actual bridge building questions. Somebody asked a question about truck and vehicle access. How is that handled?
Yeah, that would be through the detour plan, number one, and number two, if residents have specific concerns at a certain bridge, that would be worked out with GPI and Krieger. They could work that out.
And are residents allowed to contact Krieger directly? Because, again, that seems to be
and they have been. We've gotten emails at certain bridges already where they've copied all of us and gone to Krieger. So, yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
I think the more dialogue, conversation, communication is very important on these type of projects. I mean, we see it time and again, at least on projects I've worked on for the county and others, the more communication with the homeowners, the better, just so everybody's on the same page.
And I think it's interesting that this group of people come because they have so many bridges that are concentrated. But I mean, are residents given updates in general, or?
If they ask, I mean, I don't know if we actually knock on every door and say this is what we're doing today or tomorrow. I imagine that that doesn't happen on every project. Let's just say. I mean,
we're already paying them $95,000 more.
Look, I'm just saying, I don't have a bridge on my property, but if I did, I could see what their concerns are. Like, there's people walking on my land, and, do I have to put coffee out or whatever? But I mean, like, there's people there all the time. I would like to, I wonder if they stop, or if someone would walk down and say, hey, how's this going, if they actually engage and talk to them.
Usually what I've seen on my projects, that happens quite a bit. Okay. Usually the homeowners are coming out and saying, how's it going, what's going on today, and what's going on this week. So there's usually a lot of dialogue in the field.
And I suspect bringing coffee would be a really good start.
I'm sure that would be.
I think I saw that in a movie once, but do not feel obligated to
be on site first.
I just think it's a lot.
All right, anything else for Greg? All right, Greg, thank you for the update.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you.
Charles, these resolutions, what do we have to read?
Resolved, yeah.
Or the last whereas?
No, just therefore resolve the Office of the General Purpose Authority issued this directive.
Who reads out the secretary?
I can read it. Want to read it? These are change proposals, and we have to, by the contract, to move the ball forward.
Okay.
All right, so the first resolution is Resolution 2019-7, and Charles will read.
This resolution was more or less, it has been, as Attorney Freund has pointed out, this was handled in a relatively loose manner by the previous solicitor, and I think it kind of set the table for where we have been going, or moreover, how we've been doing this. This is Bridge 15 that has been removed from the project for all intentions and purposes. We no longer own it. The county has taken it back, and we have all agreed to the price, Krieger Construction, the GPA, as well as Northampton County. Whereas Northampton County GPA change proposal removing Bridge 15 from the project and provide a total credit for the project in the amount of $657,686 is therefore resolved that the officers of the General Purpose Authority issue NCGPA change proposal number 1 and direct Benish to notify the developer of NCGBA's change proposal. So moved.
All right. We have a second on that proposal. Thank you, Frank. Any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
it was already handled, it was already put through county council last year, should the language say, whereas it was removed and on the date? Or does it, because this is something that happened already. So, I mean, just that one line, and then therefore be it resolved that we do the change order effective today. But it was already voted on a year ago, it went through county council a year ago.
I guess.
Did somebody make a motion on it? Motion
Yeah.
Motion second. Well, with the agreement on the movement and the seconder, minutes can reflect that change.
Consistent with the change that has already been approved by those three people.
Or whatever language to make, because that was done, correct? I understand what we're
Yes.
doing today, but
If you look at the detail in the attached letter, it talks about it being removed back in April of 2018.
right, but it's not reflected on the motion, and that
Okay.
was
You know
my
what, no,
question
but
about it.
But the motion does reflect it in change proposal. We are adopting change proposal number 1, which that Benish letter is.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Any further questions on this resolution?
No.
All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution carries. Motion carries.
A like
Resolution 2019-08.
a like resolution, whereas the Northampton County General Purpose Authority change proposal includes additional geotechnical surveys of Bridge 101 due to undermining of the roadway material at the approach of the far left wing wall, April 2017, and the additional cost of the project not to exceed $115,860. Now therefore resolved that the officers of the General Purpose Authority issue NCGPA change proposal number 2 and direct Benish to notify the developer of the change proposal. This had been an element that we discussed at great length many months ago. There was a sinkhole at one of the bridges after the contract was inked, and there is need to do additional borings to make sure that the bridge we put there will stay there.
Right, so this is just for the studies, the actual boring.
Yeah.
It's not remediation. Right.
It is believed that it was remediated. When the hole was found, it was grouted, but we want to ensure that
Okay.
that it's appropriately on good footing. We'd like these bridges to last a long time.
Sure. Any questions on that resolution? Okay. I need a motion to accept, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Lori. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ron. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 2019-09.
Whereas the Northampton County General Purpose Authority change proposal includes the additional of a third lane to Bridge 124 at an additional cost to the project not to exceed $827,000 is therefore resolved that the Officers of the General Purpose Authority issue NCGPA change proposal number 3 and direct Benish to notify the developer of this change proposal.
And Charles, this resolution, this is the FedEx bridge?
This is the FedEx. This is the
another
FedEx
done
bridge.
deal on it?
FedEx bridge.
Yes, we have had extensive back and forth on this. We had spoken with the township as well as the developer. They've given us a letter which is referenced in the change proposal, and the amounts are the same, recognized there as well.
So moved.
All right, Lori made a motion to accept. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Frank. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the big one,
Resolution 2019-10.
or the Sandra Newman proposal.
They were calling it.
Whereas the Northampton County General Purpose Authority change proposal includes the deletion of bridges 43, 44, 78, 132, 139, 185, and 212, and provide for a credit of $4.5 million to the project. It is therefore resolved that the officers of the General Purpose Authority issue NCGPA change proposal number 4 and direct Benish to notify the developer of the change proposal.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Lori. Any questions on this resolution and the motion? No questions? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Charles, for reading this.
Sure. I love bridges.
Let's get rid of more of them. All right, services agreement. What are you going to do with that?
We had taken this up, and there was just a point of clarity I think Mark can better speak to.
Yeah, and Solicitor Freund, jump in if I get anything wrong, but there were a number of minor tweaks that we wanted to make, like getting all the project contacts correct, removing former Chairman Langen out of the contract, and the only other major substantive change that was made to this was to include language that states we won't carry property insurance on the bridges, and that if a bridge is damaged, that the county would be responsible for repairing it.
All right, so you removed the former chair of the GP out of here, right?
We stuck you in there.
I was going to say, you didn't insert the new chair, did you?
Oh, yeah, we did.
I think we inserted Charles where appropriate, and
Oh, no, just a chairperson.
No.
I was hoping we had you in there.
I'll find with chairperson.
It's a big bus. There's a lot of room for us.
Seat on the bus for everybody. All right, do we need any action on this, Mark?
I think we should probably formally approve it again.
I make a motion to formally approve it as written.
We can put your name in, Mr. Anthony.
No, we do not.
Without any formal amendment.
I don't see where they changed
The
it.
chairperson is fine by me, Mr. Solicitor. Thank you. All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. All right, it is now 9:19. We're going to go to executive session to discuss potential litigation.
Could you ask them to stick around?
Is Greg and Mike going to hang around? Greg and Mike, would you please join us?
Just asking, you're not throwing it.
They will cover a transition meeting on Monday in Glendon Hotel.
went to Atlantis.
Oh, yeah.
So then you're kind of just on the property.
Yeah,
You
it's
don't really
beautiful.
leave. Yeah.
I didn't stay there, but when we cruised,
You
we did
stopped
like
there.
a walk through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But,
Now we should do it.
I know, you guys should go. If you go, let me know. I'm in. I would go back. It was really last minute. Erica, my daughter, planned it. And she found this Airbnb. It was like $125 a night.
Wow.
I know. For 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms,
Wow.
brand new. And flights for $350, which isn't
Wow,
bad.
that's
I
cheap.
know. I know.
Austin, I just booked last night. We're going on our week off, our luxurious trip to Delaware. We're staying, we're hoping for like 2 nights, like $500.
I know. And
Those
that's
are so expensive.
That's why we started just doing different trips, because we had a place booked in, I don't know, Wildwood. And it was literally the night before the deposit was due. And he said, I just can't bring myself to do it. He goes, we're going to spend $5,000 to go
It's
to
crazy.
the Jersey Shore.
It's crazy, and that's why I've never do something like rent a house
Mhm.
for a week, because, but I figured, well, it's too, because we're kind of split up. We're doing just that, and then some day trips and stuff for that week, but then in the fall, we're doing like Boston and Salem for a couple of days, which is, I've done it years ago, but I've
Ron, thanks for the financials. So, thank you.
It's been amazing. I'm so glad. I feel good about it. If I could help, even just to be quiet, if you need me at meetings or anything, just to support, just let me know. I mean, this thing, we got great leadership for everybody. It's unbelievable.
Duran had to go, you tagged in?
Lucius.
Duran had to go, so you tagged in?
We move.
All right, it's 9:54. I'll call the meeting back to order. I already said prior going out to executive session, it was for litigation issues. 7.0, GPA insurance, the RFP update.
I believe responses are due next week. I'd be looking to form a committee of GPA members and DCD staff to review the insurance proposals. Are there any volunteers?
Sure, I'll volunteer.
Okay. We'll reach out to set up a meeting probably towards the end of the month.
Sure.
Okay.
Do you have a staff report? New business? Or staff report?
The only thing would be the Glendon Hotel.
Can we put a bridge there?
No bridges there.
Needs a
Then I'm not
bridge.
interested.
I want to cut that window out for us.
So, do you want to talk about Glendon Hotel, or I mean,
It's up to you.
so this apparently everybody knows about the Glendon Hotel. I've been through Glendon and I didn't know it for a long time, and I checked out the hotel. It obviously is beyond repair. I guess that's a nice way to put it. The one corner looked okay until you drove past, but it's just a property. It's just sitting there, and I didn't know if GPA, if we could take a look at that. I'm not sure. The role of GPA responsibility is to maybe just look at the zoning in that area, see if we can. It probably wouldn't be for commercial, but if we could turn it into like some type of affordable housing, if that's possible. At least do something there. Trying to get that property.
Right. So
Property back in the county's hands, or for the people.
Well, a little additional background on it. The property is in the county repository. So
What does that mean? Help me out.
So when a property goes for tax sale, it's delinquent on its taxes, doesn't pay its taxes, goes to tax sale. Then nobody buys it at the tax sale. Then I believe there's a secondary tax sale where all of the liens, mortgages, whatever are waived, and they try to sell it again. A judicial sale, thank you. If nobody buys it there, then it goes into what's known as the repository. And my understanding of the repository is basically the county has to sign off on whoever would own it going forward, and you can submit bids. We have a list on the website, on the county's website, and you submit a bid, and Charles, I think, is the ultimate person who signs off on whether or not somebody's bid is accepted for those properties. So from that standpoint, the county doesn't own it, but we control it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think what I've heard you say, we could take a look at it. I would think we would want to engage some kind of engineering firm to help us do kind of a quick and dirty, what I'll call feasibility study, that would look at the existing zoning, the lot dimensions, and with some kind of public benefit use in mind to look at what we could use that for. So what I would suggest, we can go out and try to get some proposals for that site reuse study my understanding, I think if it's less than 25,000, we would probably just need to get some estimates from engineering firms.
Well, have you had an opportunity to talk to the mayor there?
We've had numerous.
Okay. Well,
There's.
I'm sorry, I know there's a Mayor Glenn.
There's some what I would call
Oh, that's all right.
capacity issues there. That, like, we've had discussions. We kind of had a deal set up before that we were going to, DCD had funding lined up to demolish the property, and we were going to work with the borough to do that. The borough needed to exercise its police powers to demolish the property to protect the health, safety, and welfare. This was before it was in the property repository, and then you would lien the property so that the property owner, and you may or may not get that back. We had that all kind of lined up, and the borough balked at doing it.
But that was before it went into the repository.
That was before it went into the repository. So at that point, from DCD's perspective, there wasn't much else we could do there. We didn't have a willing partner. Now that we control it, that the county has...
and I would almost suggest, because I had heard from the mayor, I guess, about a month ago, when the second floor finally collapsed down onto the first, and is now... Glendon does not have the wherewithal to necessarily deal with the problem. I'm not being facetious. They only had one barricade in the borough's ownership, and it caused them to have to make or get another barricade. So parts of the building did fall into the street, and they, I'm going to say through their public works or neighborhood volunteer effort, cleaned up some of the street, but there was a concern beyond that, and I think the mayor is very interested. Somewhere along the line, somebody showed up as a demolition company and proposed that they were from the county. They are not from the county, but a demolition company did look at the building, and I believe I had called Paul and a few others to see if anyone had been out there doing so, but unfortunately no one in Glendon got the name or on the side of the truck or a name of person that they spoke to, but
How is this a GPA issue and or responsibility?
I would say you have no
responsibility.
Legal this would be something that is helpful to the county in figuring out how to get this property, what to do with this property. It's a problem and nobody knows.
It's a general purpose that this authority can.
Nobody knows what to do with this property.
It sounds to me like there's some legwork that needs to be done before it becomes a question to us. That maybe, like you said, it sounds like there's some bidding or some...
Well, I think what I would propose, if you're okay, I'm going to go out and solicit some proposals to do what I would call a site reuse study on this property. And part of that site reuse study would look at, what's legally allowed there now. There are some, I think, redevelopment ideas that the county has that would suit county needs, that we would try to incorporate into that, like the creation of affordable housing. And so we would try to evaluate it from that standpoint, but before we would do anything, I would get a price for what that reuse study would entail.
Mark, you have any idea what you think the range of the cost would be for that, just general study?
I need to talk to a couple of folks, but I think it could be anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000. And
we have,
yeah.
But to Lori's point, I don't see why not. It wouldn't be a general purpose authorities. It's not an issue, responsibility, but just trying to get this property going.
Mm-hmm. And then, so when you play this out, then if you figure out how you want to reuse this site, okay, then you get into the nuts and bolts. All right, somebody's going to have to pay to demolish it and get it in. Like, so does the GPA want to take on that? Like, there are a number of decision points that I think we will identify, and it could be working with a nonprofit partner. You know, I think once you identify what you want to try to use it for, you'd probably put out a RFP for a preferred developer, and based on that, you know, you could figure out who you're going to work with to accomplish the reuse.
Right.
Could be good partnership. CACLV has some money. They're looking for something.
Do they? Yes, they do.
That's one of the groups that I have in mind.
So we just need the impetus just to kind of get this going.
I got a couple kids in my neighborhood. If we give them some rocks, they can break
Oh, dear Jesus.
the building down the rest of the way.
I guess why I'm asking is because as you're talking, I'm thinking also where there's other linkages, and I know that mental health got a lot of money and to do housing for long-term housing for mentally ill, or, you know, so there's options, but maybe there's money out there that GPA wouldn't have to fuel all the costs. Like, I see what you're saying in terms of partnership, but I think like that we're 3 steps ahead, and I'd like to hear more data and more information
I think
and numbers.
I think the only problem is it's a problem that just needs a light shined on to figure out what we can do with it. And, you know, it has been sitting in this fashion one way or another now for quite a lot of years. And
as long as I've been with the county.
Yeah.
Right, so it's just, all right, so it's in that repository. Nobody's bid on it. It's just it's
and
got
no one's
language
going
there.
My experience, normally these sites, until you kind of come up with a plan to get it shovel ready, no developer's really going to touch it.
All right, so we're just going to say, hey, go ahead.
Get us
Just,
some
you know,
information.
informally.
I'm going to get some estimates on what a site reuse study would cost, and I'll bring that back hopefully next month.
Sounds great.
Sounds good.
For you to decide whether or not you want to move forward.
Sure. Anything else under new business? All right, next meeting is July 9th, 8:15 here. Motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Frank. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Can somebody direct me to, where's the elections office now?
Do you know what courtroom 1 is? On the first floor? Go all the way to the end of courtroom 1. When you get to courtroom 1, make a right, and you'll see the big sign for elections office.